Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk about the different types of homes that you can buy. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I want to buy a home this year. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, what type of home do I actually want to buy? Where do I want it to be? The pros and cons of like different locations or different types of homes. So in this video, I kind of just want to think through like all the different possibilities, all the different pros and cons, and kind of like for my own sake, think things through. And then maybe if anyone else is about to buy their first home, maybe this video can help you think things through as well. So the first thing that I want to talk about is location. So for me, I'm going to think about 3 different locations that I could possibly purchase a home. Like number 1, a downtown area, number 2, the suburbs, and then number 3, like out in the country somewhere. So first, let's talk about a downtown area. So some different pros of living downtown. So for me, some advantages would be like you're close to everything. You can walk to a lot of places. Like this is really great for like highly social people because, you know, like typically if someone's like, hey, do you want to go out? They're typically, you know, talking about like a place downtown, but you already live there. So it's not like you got to drive downtown. You could walk to the bar or to the restaurant or wherever because you're already there. Another advantage is it's probably low maintenance, if like no maintenance really involved, because if you're living downtown, you're probably living in some type of like condo, so you wouldn't really have a lot of maintenance. It's not like you have a yard or anything like that. So those are some advantages of living downtown, but it does have some downsides. The first con or disadvantage that I can think of is that it's probably going to be really expensive if you live downtown, because that's like the desirable place. You're close to everything. So kind of like all the advantages that I just mentioned, because of those things, is going to be really expensive. Also, you're probably not going to have a lot of living space. Me personally, right now, I live in an apartment and it's like on the outskirts of town and it's like around 900 square feet. But if we were to like pick up this apartment and put it in the middle of downtown, like my rent would be a lot more because like I have a lot of living space, at least for a single bedroom apartment. It's pretty big. But if this was downtown, like it would be a lot more expensive for this space, or the amount that I'm paying right now would get me like very little living space. Another thing, you're probably not gonna have like any outdoor space. You may have like a balcony or a patio. I've been looking at things downtown and there's some that don't even have a patio. They do have like a door that would typically lead to a patio, but it has like a built-in fence so that you can't like fall and hurt yourself, but there's no like real outdoor space. Maybe if you're living in like a fancy building that has like rooftop access or something, then you would have that, but that's still like a community space. So it's not like you personally would have your own space. So that's also something to think about. Also, because it's downtown, like you're not gonna have a lot of privacy. It's probably gonna be similar to living in an apartment, so you can probably hear your neighbors, I imagine. Or because it's downtown, like it's downtown, so that like there's cars going by, there's people talking. Weekends, I'm sure people are walking around like after drinking and stuff, so you may have to deal with that type of noise. One other thing that I've noticed, there's a lot of listings for like an historic condo unit in downtown with character and charm, and when you read like the description, like historic, it's like it was built in the 1930s, hasn't been updated in like 20 years. Because it's older, it has like older layouts, so a lot of apartments didn't have their own like washer and dryer, so that could be something that you're dealing with. Like the main and really only thing that makes this apartment or condo attractive is because it's downtown. Like you're just paying for the location, but the condo itself may be of a lower quality. So that's another thing to like consider. Okay, so that's downtown. Now let's talk about the suburbs. So what are the advantages of living in the suburbs? I think that it would be very family friendly. That's probably an advantage. You know, if you are in that point in your life where you want your surroundings to be family friendly, then, you know, got that going for you. You probably have a lot of outdoor space, unlike in the downtown area. So you probably have your own yard front yard or backyard, your own little private space. Another advantage about being in the suburbs, like in my parents' neighborhood, it's very like a neighborhood type of feeling. People know each other. We know, when I say we, like my parents, they know the people who live right beside them, the people who live behind them across the street. So it's more of like a neighborly type of feeling, for lack of a better word. So like if my parents were to ever go out of town, they can go to their neighbors and be like, hey, like look across the street for this past week because we're not gonna be here. So if you see something shady, it's not us and you should call the police type of thing. So people care more because they're like invested in the entire neighborhood. Another thing, it's probably close-ish to things to do. So you're probably gonna be close to like schools or shops, maybe restaurants. You may not be close to downtown, but there should be other like shopping centers around you because, you know, they know that families are there. So there's probably gonna be other shops near you. Also, you're probably not gonna be that far away from like an airport if you're living in the suburbs. So those are things to consider. But everything has downsides. So what are the downsides of living in the suburbs? One, it's the suburbs. Like, I don't know, it just sounds like very like family soccer mom type environment. So again, if you're not like ready for that stage of your life, that's what you're signing up for. A big thing about living in the suburbs is that you're probably going to have an HOA. So an HOA stands for Homeowners Association. It's kind of like a group of people that decide what's acceptable in your neighborhood. Like your HOA may tell you that you can't have a boat in your front yard, or you can't paint your grass purple or something. I don't know, but they just have like rules about what you can do and can't do to your property. So if you're about to buy a home and you kind of feel like no one can tell me what I can and cannot do, think again, because your HOA can. Also, they're not just like this thing that tells you what to do. You also have to pay them to tell you what to do. So the price of your HOA fee may change. Some communities it may be monthly, some communities it may be a yearly fee. So it really just depends. So some can be expensive and some can be not so expensive. I know someone, their HOA is like yearly and it's like around $500. But I also know other places where like the HOA fee is monthly and it's like $250. So HOA fees they really just depend on what they want to charge. And HOAs cover different things. So it's basically like they're in charge of fixing like a clubhouse. If you have a clubhouse and the roof leaks on the clubhouse, the HOA would fix that. If you have a pool, any maintenance involved with the pool, the HOA would fix that. So the HOA is responsible for fixing any shared space within your neighborhood. So an HOA can be in the suburbs. You can also have an HOA in a condo building. So any area that is like shared space, you can expect there would be an HOA involved. The last area that you can live in is the country. And there's definitely some pros that come with living away from town. Number one is probably going to be less expensive, meaning you would get more house for your money. You may get a bigger house. You would probably get a lot more land than you could ever get in the suburbs. Also, we just mentioned the whole HOA thing. You're probably not gonna have a HOA if you live kind of like on the outskirts of your town. Another thing is privacy. Again, if you have like a huge group of land or a plot of land that's all to yourself, you're probably not gonna have a lot of neighbors. And if you do have neighbors, you're probably gonna be really spaced out so you can have all the privacy that you would ever want. On the flip side though, because you have all that privacy, you're also pretty isolated. So like for security reasons, if anything ever happens, there's probably not gonna be anyone around to ever know that something happened to you. And also again, with having all this land, who's gonna go out and cut all that grass? You're gonna have a lot more yard work if you are living out in the country somewhere with like 2 or 3 acres of land. So just think about that. Who's actually gonna be taking care of this land? Again, because you're on the outskirts of town, you would have a much further drive to ever do anything fun or like necessities, even like groceries and things like that. It's probably not gonna be like a 2-minute trip to your grocery store. Another thing, you may not get any of the like perks that come with living within the city limits. So if you do live within the city limits, you would get things like your trash may be picked up by the city. Things like if you ever got sick and you needed an ambulance or something like that, it would take an ambulance longer to get to you properly. So these are all things that you may want to think about. I can see the appeal to kind of living away from everything and just having your own little plot of land to call yours, but I mean, there are some downsides to that. So those are all things to think about. So those are the different locations. So downtown, within the city, in the suburbs, or outside the city limits altogether. So I hope this video was helpful and kind of got you thinking about the home buying process and where you actually want to buy your property. Give the video a thumbs up, leave some comments down below, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time.